Let's talk about how an end-of-line resistor works to monitor a fire alarm circuit. This is a Class B circuit, of course, because there is an end-of-line resistor. What I mean by monitor is, how do we know that this life-critical alerting system is working? How do we know we can rely on the wiring and the devices in this system? How can we be assured that if there is a fire, that the NAC circuit will sound the horns, strobes, or speakers to notify, protect, and evacuate the occupants? The answer is with a resistor. It's important to know that, but more importantly, let's also talk about how that works. Generally, different manufacturers of fire panels use different end-of-line resistors. They are included with the fire panels. Here is the fire panel, and we can see that the system is normal. However, once we remove the end-of-line resistor, the panel will show a trouble code. That trouble will say open circuit. Specifically, it will say what circuit is in trouble. For example, NAC1 open circuit. Let's put the resistor back and recognize that any break in this circuit, where the fire panel no longer measures the end-of-line resistor, will initiate this trouble, indicating there are devices on the circuit that are not operable. The devices that are non-operable will, of course, be everything after the fault. This applies to any fault, whether an open, ground fault, or short. An accurate way to think about this is to picture that the fire panel has an internal multimeter. The fire panel is always in search of this resistor's value. For this demonstration, this fire panel requires a 2.2K resistor. With this multimeter here, we are measuring the resistance value of this fire panel's resistor. We can see that as soon as we remove the thing we are measuring, in this case, a 2.2K resistor, the meter displays the value of what it's measuring, or lack thereof in this case. It displays OL, which in this situation means a whole lot of nothing. Or picture this. Say you are measuring a TV with a measuring tape. You are in search of the number value of this TV. Someone comes by and snags the TV. You're left standing there holding your measuring tape. Now what are you measuring? A whole lot of nothing. The thing you were measuring disappeared. If you're like the fire panel, you'll alert nearby people saying, "Someone just stole my TV." Simple, right? Now, the fire panel works the same way. When the fire panel measures the lack of its required resistance value, with its internal multimeter, it says, "Oh, no. I'm not measuring my end-of-line resistor. It's not there anymore. There's an issue on this circuit. I'm going to beep and display a trouble message to get a technician's attention." In short, the fire panel needs its end-of-line resistor because it uses the measurement of that resistor to determine whether or not the circuit is intact and fully operational. This concept also applies to zones on a security panel. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to leave questions and suggestions in the comments. Peace!